Over the past few months, the underlying theme of my talk topics have all been based around motivation, taking a very simple look at why we enjoy the hobby of cosplay so much, and also re-evaluating our preconceived notions on why we think others do what they do. Furthering that theme, I'd like to briefly explore the notions behind character choice in cosplay. We've already established that people like to cosplay as a way to express their fandom. They like a series, a movie, a game, or just a character from said things, and they want to show their love for that property or character by dressing up. Again, it's a lot like sports fans wearing their team colours, or a particular numbered top of their favourite player to show their support. But what is it about certain characters fans choose? Granted, we can't cover every single reason and motivation out there, so let's at least begin with a few of mine. At the time of this recording, I'm still working on a Ninja Turtle costume. Loved the 80s cartoon as a kid, and then quickly discovering the original Eastman and Laird comics shortly thereafter, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were an important influence on my interest in art and comics, as well as a creative career path. Once upon a time, I wanted to be a comic artist, but eventually settled on graphic design. Leonardo was always my favourite character, the leader of the group, the responsible one, and that certainly helped inform my own personality traits as I got older. And while I love how the character was fleshed out in the 2003 series and the 2007 CG film, I've chosen to try my best to recreate the 1990 movie version because I just love those animatronic suits made by the Jim Henson Creature Shop. The original Generation 1 Transformers series may not have stuck with me like the Turtles, but Optimus Prime certainly did. Another leader and noble character, he was a childhood hero, and his sense of duty, justice, and values of right and wrong definitely made a mark on my own development. I chose to build this version of Optimus from the 2010 video game War for Cybertron, which featured the voice talent of Peter Cullen, not only because the game was really good, but it was the first time since 1996's Beast Wars that any sort of media understood the potential the property had as a wonderful science fiction story instead of just a toy commercial. On the other hand, a character like Marcus Phoenix from the Gears of War series really just had some cool looking armour. 2 sets of them in fact. I made the Gears of War 3 version in anticipation of the game's release, as well as for a competition, and while I thoroughly enjoyed these games, I've never really allowed them to sink in any deeper than that. But these costumes were a lot of fun to make, and you definitely feel like a badass wearing them. On a similar note, I loved both the Watchmen movie and the graphic novel, but I recall my choice for Rorschach was simply because I thought he was the most convenient one to create based on my budget and skill level at the time. Also, it was another costume that covered my face completely, so dickheads would resist the urge to point out how Asian I am, like I didn't fucking know. Don't get me wrong, I still like the character's cynicism about the world and love that costume, but that's pretty much where it ends. I think Sir Ian McKellen is a great actor and a gorgeous human being, but I can't say that Magneto makes a huge impact on me. And yet, I put together this costume as a way to support and motivate a former friend making her own X-Men costume at the time. Master Chief is an odd amalgamation of reasons, because he began as just a cool looking character from a video game I really liked, but eventually developed beyond that. Bungie created him as a blank slate, bereft of personality, in order for the player to have an easier time slipping into the role, and I guess that worked. But wearing that armour for the better part of 4 or 5 years has developed my own meaning and sentimentality for the character, or at least the outfit itself. I recall all the people I've met, the friendships I've formed, the conventions I've visited here and over the border, and even becoming locally known, all because of wearing that suit. And then by the time Halo 4 came around, Master Chief's lack of personality had somehow transformed into compelling character traits. He was no longer dull and emotionless, but a stoic and focused super soldier, struggling to find his humanity, as well as trying to save his best friend from cybernetic oblivion. All this while saving planet Earth and the rest of the galaxy for a second time. At my age, character and story are important to me, and I'm happy to describe Halo 4 as a platonic love story, which is why I wear this particular version of the armour today. Now, just my small selection covers a range of reasons from the simple and superficial to the deep and meaningful, and we already gather that the millions of cosplayers around the world are bound to have their own range of reasons covering the same spectrum. We've seen people choose popular flavour of the month characters. Some choices are obscure or a little esoteric. People choose characters based on budget, some based on scale. Some cosplayers want to be the first to do a character, or even tackle engineering challenges no one else has. Many people want to celebrate a part of their childhood. Others want to celebrate or even take the piss out of contemporary culture. Some choose characters because they want to stand out, and others choose characters because they want to belong. There are choices which reflect a fan's personality and values, and there are choices that display their ambition for themselves or the world around them. Some pick heroes because they want to be one, and others pick villains because it's fun to be bad once in a while. You can have 10 people choose the same character to cosplay, but you'll get maybe 8 different reasons why. I'm no psychologist, but I do find the deeper aspects of this rather fascinating. Is Iron Man popular simply because of his cool-looking high-tech armor? Or are people responding to Tony Stark being a genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist? Does Black Widow's appeal come from her being a highly trained agent more than capable of holding her own against an alien horde alongside the likes of gods and super soldiers? Or is she the only female of agency in a team full of men when the only other option is Agent Wet Blanket? Is Batman a symbol of justice in a crime-addled city, drowning in its own corruption? Or is Bruce Wayne just a privileged kid, using his inheritance to beat up thugs because he refuses to deal with his own issues the proper way? Do Mortal Kombat fans sympathize with Katana's 10,000-year struggle to bring down the outworld warlord Shao Kahn and reclaim her rightful throne? Or is it just boobs? Ahem. Look, I know many of you reckon I'm overthinking this and that not everyone needs a deep and meaningful reason to cosplay, and that it's just meant to be about the fun instead of being all serious. And I completely agree with you. It's just interesting to note that when certain fans, particularly female cosplayers, make this same just for fun argument, they are instantly and unfairly dismissed as fake geeks. And despite the potentially endless list of motivations, some of us still default to the they're just doing it for the attention assumption. I've said it many times elsewhere. I'm not naive enough to think there is no such thing as a bad reason, nor do I think there is no one out there cosplaying for less than noble reasons. Hell, I've encountered a few of these people myself, and they still exist in the community. It's just that for the most part, maybe we could take a little extra consideration before jumping to conclusions about other people's motives. Maybe. If you cosplay, have an extra think about your reasons for choosing that particular character. It might motivate you through any roadblocks. You might even do better work. You might even enjoy the experience of wearing that character a whole lot more, knowing that your reasons are yours. Here endeth the sermon.